So welcome this morning to the Power Up Your Technical Professional Development webinar. We've got about 45 minutes. Really great to see so many people signed up this morning. Probably going to be a few more people coming in over the next few minutes, but we've got a jam-packed 45 minutes, so we'll probably get started. So for those of you who don't know, we're from the UK Institute of Technical Skills and Strategy, which was established just last year in August 2023, and we're funded by Research England. But the work we do here builds upon the success of the talent programme, and we're scaling out the talents pilot projects nationally, and I'm sure many of you will have been involved in many of the fabulous things that talent provided. And we're also home of the technician commitment, and together we share the vision to ensure that technical careers are recognised, developed, respected and aspired to. So this morning we're talking about our flagship leadership and development programmes, and we've got 5 that we're going to talk about, and people from 5 of those that are going to share their experiences with us. So just to give you a brief title of those 5 programmes, we've got the Executive Programme for Strategic Technical Leadership. We have the Herschel Programme for Women in Technical Leadership. We have the Vivian Thomas Technical Leadership Programmes. That's a suite of 3 programmes that sit under the Vivian Thomas banner. And they are preparing for technical management and leadership, collaborative leadership for technicians, and leadership in action for technicians. And all of these have been designed for the technical community in academia and research institutions. So enough from me. So I'd kindly like to warmly welcome our panel. And if they could each introduce yourselves and share the programme that you've attended and what you're going to speak to us about today. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kate Thornton. I'm Faculty Technical Services Manager for Science and Engineering at Queen Mary, University of London, and I attended the Executive Programme in Strategic Technical Leadership, and I completed it in June 2023. I was part of the first cohort.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Kate. Welcome. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Fiona Robertson. I'm a Senior Technician at the University of Lincoln in the College of Arts, and I predominantly work on the Fashion BA programme. It is closing this year, which is a bit sad. However, I went on the Herschel programme in 2022. I was part of the first cohort. Is that everything covered? Yeah, I think that's everything.
Thank you very much, Fiona. Welcome. Thank you.
Good morning, my name's Chris Furs. I'm a Technical Support Manager at the University of Warwick. This is a joint team across the School of Life Sciences and Warwick Medical School. A large part of my job is actually the containment manager, so I manage the biological containment facilities. And I attended the Preparing for Technical Management programme in 2023.
Fabulous. Thanks very much, Chris.
Good morning, my name is Trevor Hardy. I'm the Senior Laboratory Technician for the School of Chemistry at Birmingham University, and I attended the Collaborative Leadership Programme in 2022.
Fabulous. Thanks very much. Welcome, Trevor.
Hi, and I'm Hayley Markham. I'm a Technical Operations Manager for Infrastructure and Facilities at the University of Manchester, and I attended the Leadership in Action for Technicians at sort of the back end of last year, rolling into this year.
Wonderful. Well, welcome, Hayley, and thank you again to everybody for offering up some of your time this morning to come and tell us and everybody else about your experiences. So, Kate, let's come back to you if that's okay. So you completed the what we call EPSTL, the Executive Programme in Strategic Technical Leadership last year, which we deliver in partnership with the University of Nottingham's Business School and the Technician Commitment. And you were one of the very first to complete this groundbreaking programme for current and future strategic leaders. So tell us a little bit more about how the programme benefited you in your role at Queen Mary, University of London, please.
Thanks, Ruth. So I think many sort of strategic technical roles, they're quite new. due to the technician's commitment. There's something which has sort of been just coming out. Many people who are in those roles are maybe the first person in that position. So it did feel a little bit as if you were making things up as you went along. You're working in a strategic environment where you haven't necessarily sort of got all of those tools at your fingertips. You sort of know about things like REF and TEF and knowledge exchange. You've learnt about it through your work, but to actually have the opportunity for people to sit down and tell you all about it, experts in their field, in sessions which were just to cover that, and questions and answers, and then how we could go back and use that within our own institutions and insert how it works for technicians and how it applies to technicians in those conversations was amazing. So how it benefited me, I think, was confidence. I think I knew quite a lot of the stuff, but it was more by osmosis, and to actually be taught it was really, it was massive in terms of my confidence. For my institution, obviously, for Queen Mary, they benefited by the fact that they had somebody come back who was now sitting at the table and talking with confidence about these things. Not kind of like, maybe. It was, I knew what I was talking about, and I could refer it directly to how it would affect our technical staff. So I think it was getting a seat at the table with confidence and feeling like I could really advocate for our technical teams. And again, how it helped our wider technical teams at Queen Mary was, I'm the technician commitment lead there. Previously, again, when we'd been sorting out our action plans, I'd been looking at, how can we look at these metrics? How can we insert technical staff into them? How can we ensure that technical staff are being involved? But again, I could now approach all of this with clarity and knowledge behind me. So I think the main thing for me was just really underpinning the information I already had, but ensuring that I knew about it with confidence. Some other really amazing bits, Reece, do stop me if I'm going on too long, was that we had a certain amount of advocating for yourself and also selling yourself, which again, I don't think technical staff are always the best at. I'm quite a chatty person, so I'm quite happy talking, but necessarily actually selling myself is a different thing. So it was, if you are in a lift with your VP, how do you get across your point in 5 minutes? Sounds a little bit corny, the whole elevator lift, but to actually be taught it and to be able to sit there and go, I've got an opportunity, I'm going to take that opportunity, and I'm going to really seize it, I think was really important.
Thank you very much, Kate, and it's so brilliant to hear you speak so passionately about the programme and all of the benefits that it's brought for you. Thank you so very much. And of course, EPSTL, unlike quite a lot of other programmes, it includes 2 residentials, which are, dedicated time away from the office for you to come together with your cohort and with other peers. If you had one thing to say to anybody out there in the audience that was considering to apply for the EPSTL programme, let's just say they're thinking about it, but they're not quite sure. Brilliant that you've told us about all your benefits, but what one thing might you say to those that are considering it?
I think the thing that went through my head, and certainly I think some of our cohorts' head when we were thinking about it, and we did chat about this, was that, is it for me? Am I at that level? Am I kind of, is this the next sort of step, or am I kind of almost stretching myself too far? And we had people who were about to go into strategic leadership roles, people who had been in strategic leadership roles for quite a long time, and everything in between. And we all benefited. If you are wanting to develop the next stage in your career, if you are beginning to think that kind of having that oversight, having that long-term planning, looking at where you want to go in 5 years' time, where your faculty wants to go in 5 years' time, when your school wants to go in 5 years' time, then I think it's actually for you. And also, I think the biggest thing was the network that was built up around this is just invaluable.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you so much, Kate. And anybody that has any other questions for Kate, please do feel to pop those in the chat. we can pick those up later on. Thank you very much. Oh, actually, I'm just noticing there is Lucy, do you want to?
Yeah,
direct
absolutely.
us? Thank you.
So we've had a question from John Cape in the chat, really around the observations that strategic planning by technical for technical staff being a new concept, and that previously, I think your reflections on whether that had been done elsewhere by academics and senior professional service members. So perhaps you could give a bit of a flavour around the perspective that this programme gave to you that was different from previous.
I think it's that kind of going back to that old thing of by technicians for technicians. I know it sounds, and we've really sort of had it installed in us through the technicians commitment, but I do think that so I've never done anything apart from a technical role, right from basically when I left university. So I think I have a very sort of nuanced frame of mind in terms of how to approach things which are important to our technical staff, and also not to. So I think that technical strategic leadership and technical planning sometimes gets swept under the table a little bit because it's just automatically done. So we have technical staff who will come in and make things happen. Okay. And quite often our technical staff will go above and beyond. They will be working beyond their hours. They will be working, doing extra stuff just to make this sure that this stuff actually happens. What a strategic technical leaders we need to be doing is we need to be ensuring that the resources are there for those technical staff to make this happen. Not that it's an extra thing, it's part of their job. We need to make sure that the facilities and the equipment are there to make this happen. We need to ensure that our academic and our professional services leaders know that this is happening, how it's happening, and the sheer amount of work and effort that goes into making it happening. So it is advocating, and it's making sure that all of those building blocks and those resources are there to enable our technical staff to perform to the best of their ability. I hope that answers the question, John.
Fabulous question and great answer. Thank you very much, Kate. Thank you. So Fiona, if we could come to you next. Thank you so very much. So you're part of the vibrant Herschel Leaders community. There are now more than 700 people who identify as women from UK institutions who've completed the 6-month programme, and so many delegates have described it as life-changing. So Fiona, how would you describe the programme, and what was the greatest thing that you gained from it?
So Herschel programme. I think probably I need to say why I joined the Herschel programme, don't I? To give you a bit of background. I've been languishing at grade 5, as many technicians find themselves, for 9 years. And although my role had changed and I'd applied for a role review, it just got lost in my line manager's big pile of work. It was just not moving. I was getting so many, you just need to do more of this, you just need to do more of that. And I thought, well, what I need is probably something external. I tried everything internal. So I was looking for a programme that was external, and the Herschel came up at just the right time. So I applied. I managed to persuade my line manager that it would be a good thing. He was quite reluctant initially, but I think it ticked a box for him. Therefore, I got on. And yeah, so that's why I was on it. What is it? It's a 6-month program. I'll give you a little bit of what will happen on the program. You will have 4 modules in different areas of leadership, work culture, confidence, and influencing within your workplace. They're a set 3-hour module that you will do in a cohort of, I think, about 30 others. So you'll have breakout rooms within that, so you'll get to know the people who you're in the cohort with. I think there were only 7 or 8 cohorts when I did the first one, but I think there's many more now. But you will sort of make contact with most of those people. And then you're also put into an action learning set, and you'll have one of those a month. Your action learning set will be, I think it's between 4 and 6 people. You've got the decision on when you have those meetings is with you. So you will, as a group, decide what is the best time and place to have those. I think they last about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. What I would say with the action learning set is it's a very prescriptive, well considered and thought through way to look at problems and then to collectively solve the problems, but not through giving advice, through eliciting information from the person who has the issue. So you kind of draw that advice out in this set framework. And initially I was a bit skeptical. It seemed a bit complicated. You know, can we not just give advice? But no, it works really well because that advice is then from the person. It really means something. And what that ALS did for me very much was I had an issue, I gave it, we drew out some potential solutions, and then I was accountable. I was accountable to that ALS. And if I hadn't had the ALS, and my first problem that I put was my role review is stuck and I'm about to give up on it, I wouldn't have continued the role review. It did take another 9 months. But without the camaraderie and the great support I had from my ALS team, I wouldn't have got that through. So what I got out of it was a role review, and was then given the position of senior technician. Is that enough information? Do you need any more?
No, that's fabulous. That's absolutely fabulous. Thank you very, very much. And of course, like you said, you know, the programme, it's designed for the technical community. And you've told us a little bit about some of the areas of the course content that resonated with you. Anything else that you want to share?
Well, I think if I had to say what's your biggest takeaway from the programme, it's a small thing, but it's really, really meaningful. As technicians, we go to sort of meetings with other technicians, but when we go to meetings with maybe our academic colleagues or professional services, and we're in the minority, I think generally when you find yourself in a minority, and it may be that you find yourself in a female minority as well, I certainly would have tended to just let people talk, let everybody talk, then I'll give my piece if I think it's valid. And I was given a piece of advice, I can't remember on what program, it could have been influencing and negotiating module. Speak early in a meeting. It doesn't matter if you've really got nothing to say, support somebody else who has spoken. Hear your own voice in that meeting and people know you're there. So then when you have got something else to say, people will listen. And that works an absolute treat. So that would be my biggest, although small, very meaningful takeaway.
Doesn't sound small at all, Fiona. Thank you very much. And same question as to Kate. If you could say anything to anybody out there that's thinking of applying for Herschel, but isn't quite sure, what would you say to them?
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's like a rule for life, isn't it? You don't regret what you don't do. You don't regret what you do. You regret what you don't do. It's 100%. Put yourself forward. Put yourself forward for everything. Grab every opportunity. You will meet the most amazing, supportive people, and not where you expect. I've got now colleagues from Liverpool, Bristol, Leeds, in very different areas that I can, you know, contact and say, oh, do you think I'm doing the right thing? So even if you're in a leadership position and you've had a lot of leadership training, I still would go for it, because you will still get this network, and it might just reinforce what you already know, as Kate said. But then also, if you're not in a leadership position and you're thinking, oh no, this is for people already in a leadership position, who's to say you're not going to be? In fact, you are going to be, because you're putting yourself forward. You're already acting as a leader. So just 100% go for it.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Fiona. And again, anybody that's got any individual questions for Fiona, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A. We can pick them up now or later. So thank you. Could listen to you all day, Fiona. The enthusiasm's wonderful.
You'll have to.
Fabulous. Chris, let's come to you next, if that's okay. So you completed the, good morning. You completed the Preparing for Technical Management and Leadership programme, and when it was piloted through the Talent programme, and it's one of those programmes that is within the suite of the Vivian Thomas Technical Leadership programme. So tell us, why did you choose this particular leadership programme at the time that you did?
So, I mean, the way our team is structured, we're a team of generalists. We have 8 senior support technicians at the grade 5 level, and there were 2, but there's now 2.6 technical support managers. So I was at the grade 5 level. Promotions don't really exist. It's entirely sort of dead men's shoes, if you'll excuse the phrase. And 2 of the roles had previously already been advertised, and I'd applied and I'd failed, and I'm happy to admit that. Obviously, attending this one certainly made me focus very much on myself, the skills I already had, and sort of really sort of formalized it into sort of a thought process in my mind so that I could actually identify, this is who I am, this is how I manage, this is how I want to be managed. And then sort of when I did get the job, taking that forward, and actually I've got a team that, or part of the team that I now directly line manage, and it's sort of identifying those sort of features in them as well. So actually how to get the best out of them. I mean, it's quite a tricky role in that we're in the middle of about 4 different inputs. We've got health and safety, we've got compliance, we sort of liaise with the states, but our biggest customers are the researchers. So we kind of get pulled in all different directions. And I'd say if I hadn't had that course, I wouldn't have been successful in getting the job, and I would not have survived the past year, because it's been very hectic.
That's fabulous. Congratulations on your promotion. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to share in terms of the course content, what really resonated for you?
I think really it's sort of, a lot of it was identifying sort of where the team was, how it was performing. For the life of me, I can't remember what the chart's called, but I can see it clear as day. I can name all the parts of it, but I think that's the important thing. You don't know the name, but you can sort of identify sort of storming, norming, performing, and all of those parts. I think being able to prioritize, seeing where the important tasks are, and not focusing so much on sort of the periphery, the sort of the things that you can leave at the side for a little bit longer, really sort of hammering home, right, where do we get our main wins? Where can we sort of progress ourselves? Where can we progress the team? And where can we develop the service that we do provide to the researchers? And I mean, I've sort of identified a lot of very bloated processes that haven't been updated in the past year that I've kind of taken a lead on. And I found myself sort of working with Microsoft Forms, Power Automate, and I've actually just created a new app for doing an asset audit on Power Apps. And I just, a year ago, I wouldn't have even imagined I'd be doing that, but it's definitely, obviously, if you sort of think of an hourglass, you've got the sort of the strategy above, and then you've got the sort of the day-to-day on the ground, and it's very much, you've got the sort of the technical managers, sort of technical support managers in the middle of this, and obviously we're getting it from the top and also from the bottom, and it's kind of that interface between up top and below, and kind of helping to sort of manage that whole situation.
That's wonderful, Chris. Thank you. It sounds like so many practical elements that you're absolutely implementing in your day-to-day role that's not only impacting you, but your teams and other people around you. So thank you very much for sharing that. Thanks. Trevor, let's come to you next, if that's okay. So
Certainly.
Trevor, thank you. You completed the Collaborative Leadership for Technicians programme in 2022, which also falls under the Vivian Thomas umbrella. And this programme aims to enhance teamwork and gives you the skills to influence people positively. So tell us a bit about how this programme suited you for your leadership needs at the time and now.
So I completed the course in 2022. At the time, the School of Chemistry was preparing to move to our new research building. I look after roughly 25 different groups, and at the time, every group was very separate. The space we were moving into was very much an open plan, shared space lab. So I looked at the course for the collaborative leadership, and with our groups all needing to collaborate more, moving into a whole new space, I thought that would be very beneficial, because as we all know, not everybody likes to share when space resources. So it was very, very useful to have, learn some tips try and get, find ways to get groups who normally would literally put up a wall around their space and not allow anybody in, to encourage the groups to actually start working together more, sharing some resources, sharing expertise as well. Additionally, I spent most of my career in the private sector, so I had started just before lockdown in 2020, and the collaborative leadership course came at a good time because the world had just opened back up again, and it was a good chance to actually meet technicians from other departments, other institutions, actually do some networking, which there is very little of in the private sector. And again, technicians, we are very, very solution focused. So the group work, it when you have 3 or 4 technicians in a group and you give them a problem, it's amazing what solutions we can come up with. So that was really good to work with, other technicians and technical managers, and with different backgrounds, different expertises, and just see what everybody does when it comes to problem solving like this.
Fabulous. Excuse me. Thank you, Trevor. And again, such fabulous examples of really practically putting what you were learning into practice out in your workplaces and in your communities. That's brilliant. Can you tell us about any successes or any achievements that have come out of you doing the programme?
So yes, part of one of the group tasks that Sandy set myself and 3 of the other cohorts was to come up with an idea of something you would like to collaborate on, and we came up with a mentoring scheme for technicians for technical skills and technical leadership, technical abilities, because certainly in our institutions there was nothing like that. And as technicians, we tend to be very specialised, but universities tend not to have more than one person with that specialism. You don't have you don't pay for 3 technicians for 2 of them just to sit around and wait for the other one not to be there. So if you want mentoring on something that you're doing, you tend to have to look at a different institution to try and find somebody with more experience, more knowledge than you. And there was nothing like that. So with the help of Sandy, we set up the cross-institutional mentoring scheme, started setting up last year. It's running the pilot cohort this year, which so far has been very successful. The amount of interest in it was far higher than what we expected. We were hoping to get maybe 5 to 10 pairs, up to 20 people, and Sandy can confirm this for me. I think it was 79 applications we had. So there is a lot of interest and also obviously a lot of need for something like that, and it was very nice to see something that came out of this type of group work being put into practice and going out and benefiting our technical community.
That's fabulous, Trevor. Thank you. And I'm sure that there are lots of people on the call that would like to hear more about that. But I'm also sure that there are lots of people who've been involved in the cross-institution mentoring scheme that will then take your lead and go and do similar things in their institutions as well. So it's an absolutely fabulous example of putting your leadership into action. That's brilliant. Thank you so very much. And finally, same question, if you could have one tip to anybody that's considering applying for the programme and they're not so quite sure, what would you say to them?
Go for it. Don't hesitate. There's certainly at Birmingham University, there's very little in terms of leadership for technicians. It's all focused towards academics. It may well be the same in other institutions. I'm not aware, but things like this don't come around, very often. I haven't seen like something like this before, so jump at the chance. If you can, do it, because it will only benefit you and it will benefit those around you.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Trevor. Thank you. And last but no means least, Hayley, we come to you. Thank you very much. So Hayley, you completed the Leadership in Action for technicians more recently this year. And this programme allows technical managers and leaders to practice their leadership skills and to get feedback on individual leadership style, approach and skills. So tell us, Hayley, how has this programme helped you in your leadership role and journey?
If I start with a little bit of a backstory to kind of support it, we know we're technicians, we are like the lifeblood of institutes. I was 21 years in my former role and in a completely different institute. I then got a new role here at Manchester, and a year into that role, I've been here 2 years now, I felt very much like a fish out of water. I felt everything that I had learned, what I'd practiced all this time, was something wasn't working, something wasn't right, and I started to get this imposter syndrome. And so this program came up, and I just had this notion that I should go on it and try and, repoke my skills, see if it is self-doubt or whether that's creeping in, or whether I still had the skills necessary for my role. And so I went on this course. It's a mix, it's a blend of online and in-person sort of sessions, and I can only describe it as a bit like speed dating. So when you're on the in-person ones, you're getting these quick snippets. And so if for like me, where I was having this self-doubt, is it actually re-sparks you to remember what you know. And so for me going on this program actually just reignited the fire and sort of was a helping hand in such, because I'd got this self-doubt. It's all on your own in person, this self-doubt, and the course itself kind of reignited it. Not the doubt, that is. That's my sort of like leadership knowledge, and so for me that was why it was kind of, that's why I went on it, because it was like this leadership in action. So, and that's where I was struggling at that point, is having that self-doubt.
Sure. Oh, thank you, Hayley. Thank you for sharing that. So if you could have a think about anything that you've taken away from the programme personally and professionally. You touched upon it a little bit there, but anything else you'd like to share?
So personally for me, it is, self-doubt is okay. And it's things like this that just reinvigorate your, I'm going to say, like your inner spirit. And for me, I like problem solving and I like management. And so I would, my takeaway from this is I would do it again in a heartbeat. I took, one of my sort of takeaways was those that were on the course with us, it also allowed me to kind of practice some of my management for those that had never done management before. So kind of a little bit of coaching and mentoring skills kind of came out in those particular sessions. As far as my role is at the moment, is I've just been able to reutilize my skills and hopefully put them into practice. There's a couple of my colleagues I've seen on the call, so
okay.
hopefully I'm doing myself some justice here.
Oh, that's great. And has it helped you to feel a little less of a fish out of water?
Definitely. I used a bit of a metaphor whilst I was on the course, because we have a presentation at the end. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with it, but it's about the experiment with a frog in a pan of hot water. So if you put a frog into a pan of cold water and heat it up, that frog essentially will stay in the pot and die, because it doesn't recognize the change. But whereas if you had a pan of boiling water, you put a frog into it, it will leap out. And so that is sort of the continuous change versus the discontinuous change, where you need to make action. And for me, going back on this course was like putting the frog into the boiling water. It allowed me to change my behaviour and potential old habits to a new and hopefully better management of me.
Fabulous. Thanks, Hayley. And one final question, same question. If you had one thing to say to anybody in the audience who's considering to apply but isn't quite sure, what would be a thing that you had to say?
Be that frog. If you've already thought about it, you want to make that change. So just don't think about it anymore. Just do it.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And a big thank you to everybody that shared their experiences again. Just going to ask you a few general questions to everybody. But before I do that, for anybody that's out there in the audience that's thinking that you have a question for anybody on the panel, now's your time to pop it into the Q&A. We'll have a few minutes, in just a few minutes, to have a look at some of those questions. So if there's any advice that we can take from the panel today, I think it's just jump in there. So no question is a silly question. Please do pop it in and we'll come back to it in a minute. But yeah, so for anybody of our 5 fabulous panel, just a few general questions. I think maybe there'll be some people out in the audience that are thinking, oh, well, I can't give up the time. There's maybe only one of me in my team, or yeah, how might I get permission to go and do this? But yeah, my question is, were there any challenges for you in taking part in the programs, and how did you overcome those? Kate, thank you.
So I definitely struggled with the capacity element of that. I work under a lot of deadlines, and the program we had one section where it was kind of every Thursday, and to be able to take out a morning every Thursday, I did struggle with. However, the program was really accommodating. I mean, there was one where, you know, I had 2 people ill and I had to go and chair the faculty health and safety meeting. There's nothing I can do about that. I have to go and do that. So there was the capacity to go back in. The sessions were recorded, the ones that were online, and I could dip back into that. The resources are also still available for you for quite a long time afterwards. And I still go in and look at stuff. Do you know what I mean? If I want to kind of refresh myself on something, have a little dip in, double check something from the presentations. So I would say try and protect that time. But if things do happen, and they do happen, you know, the team are very accommodating and you can still make it up, but do everything in your power to try and protect that time. We should, you know, it's one of those things, we talk to other people about their professional development and making sure that they've got the capacity to do that. And I think quite often we're quite bad to ourselves, and I'm terrible for it. So yeah, protect that time, make sure that you ring fence it. It's worth it.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you very much. Anyone else want to offer any answers to that questions? What were your biggest challenges and how you overcame them?
I'll jump in, Ruth, if that's all right.
Thanks. Of course, Hayley. Thank you. And then come to you, Fiona. Thank you.
Get your managers buy-in, have a conversation, get that dialogue with their support. Then, you know, it kind of reiterates what Kate was saying. They're then allowing you that time. It's yourself that's creating those barriers to not allow. And of course, such as the one I went on, because it's a mixture of blended learning, it's ideal for that sort of snippet of learning.
Brilliant. Thanks, Hayley. And of course, we've heard so many benefits from all of the programmes here from people this morning. So our audience members can take those out and have those conversations with their managers as well, in terms of the benefits, not just for you individually, but for your teams and for your departments as well. Thanks, Hayley. Fiona.
So I was just going to say that this has been recorded, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, just play them this. Just play them this. So any line manager who or program lead or anybody who you have to convince, send this through. End of.
Brilliant advice. Thank you. Thank you very much, Fiona. Any light bulb moments that any of you want to share that you had either when you were on your programs, or light bulb moments that have come afterwards as a result of your learning, your experiences?
Prepare to relearn.
Okay.
Undo bad habits and prepare to relearn. We had one, I think it was leading multitask tasks, and I was like, I'm really good at multitasking. And then I realized I was going for all the low-hanging fruit, and not looking for what was important at the time. And so it's a good way to kind of recheck your knowledge, but also remember where your priorities and goals are.
Fabulous. Great tip. Thanks, Hayley. Chris?
I mean, I think for me, it's sort of really identifying those tasks that can be delegated. You come from the job below, you know how to do it. It's very easy to just go and do that yourself, but you need to sort of step back, actually sort of ask somebody to do it. If they're not happy doing it, if they haven't been trained, sort of you support them through that. But it's just being aware that actually you need to help provide that development to somebody else so that they can do the job in the way that you want them to do it, to the standard that you want them to do it, and then they can sort of use that development on all the tasks that we do, and then they can move hopefully to replace me when I go for the next run and up, because I'm not planning on stopping.
Fabulous. That's great, Chris. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Kate?
You are not alone. There is you're creating a network of people who are basically in the same situation as you. So any institutional problem you come up against, there's probably someone else who's experienced exactly the same problem, and will be looking to tackle it a different way, or maybe the same way. It's a safe environment. You've got a network of people who you can brainstorm with. You can test out theories and ideas. But yeah, the whole idea of a problem, it's not just going to be you. It's higher education. We all suffer, enjoy the same things.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Kate. Thank you. And I can see we've got a question in the chat, which is fabulous, from Abby. Thank you very much. Abby's asking how to prepare for the Herschel programme for women in technical leadership. And so I guess this one comes to you, Fiona, but I also wonder if it's a question to open to everybody, because I think that maybe, how do you prepare for any of the programmes? But Fiona, if we could come to you, any top tips?
Yeah, I would look into what the ALS format, the action learning set format, how it works. Do a little bit of research on that, but don't be put off by its apparent sort of technical rigidity. There is flexibility. That means you will hit the floor running when you meet your ALS. You won't be all going, well, do we do this? Do we do that? You can actually lead it straight away. Other than that, I would be prepared to just open your mind. Go in with a very, very open mind, prepared to learn, and be prepared to ask as many questions as you can. On the modules, if you can engage with the people delivering the modules, you will get more out of it. And one other thing is, and something I did, is when you connect with somebody that you've met in a breakout room, connect with them outside of that breakout room as well. Drop them an email the next day. You had the same problem, your problem resonated with me. Can we talk about it further? And kind of work outside as well for your own benefit.
Fabulous. Thanks very much, Fiona. Thank you. And another question that's popped up in the chat from Michael. So Michael's recently been on the collective leadership course and felt himself not being present at times, what with phone calls, emails, messages, etc. And as we are aware, many technicians are always on. So does anybody have any advice about switching off whilst in these training courses? So maybe I can open that to the whole of the panel, including Sandy, who's the programme lead for the Vivian Thomas programmes, but also those that have attended the programmes. So I'm sure that you will have experienced similar thoughts and feelings. Thank you. Sandy.
Hi, couple of things. I mean, firstly, we ask for line manager support, which is what Hayley referred to, that prepares and protects the time. I think secondly, really useful is to put an out of office on and actually switch off your kind of alerts and your emails so that you can be present. I think the third thing is to have a deputy or somebody to contact. So you're out of office or your email, I'm away today, please contact so-and-so, so that actually they go to that person and protect you. And the final thing is remember, it's about filling your bucket, and it's really important to focus on you and your development. And there is important that you can then say, look, I can deal with that later. I can deal with that tomorrow. I can respond to that. But today I'm fully committed. Just a few thoughts there.
Thanks, Sandy. Thank you. And anyone else have anything to offer from our panel members? Trevor, thank you.
Yeah, I'm very much the same. I check my emails all the time, even when I shouldn't do. So these type of opportunities, you need to grab them with both hands. Switch off. No, everything is still going to be there when you come back the next day. This is your time. You need to grab the opportunity with both hands. You need to focus on it 100%, because if you start looking at your emails, your brain is going to be taken away. You'll be thinking of all the jobs that you need to do, what's happening back in the department, who's made what mistake, am I going to come back to the place being on fire? If you start that, and that will just take you out from being able to focus on actually your own development, which is also your right as an employee to develop yourself. We're not just there to focus on everybody else. We can take time to focus on ourselves.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you. And one final comment from Fiona. I'm very mindful that I've been a bit naughty and gone over time. Thank you.
I think just look at the logistics of it. So if you're in a shared office, try and book an office that is far away from where yours normally is, whether that be a colleague in a different unit, or I sometimes, if it worked out, I actually came home and did it. So if it was, some 1 till 4, I'd just say I'm not available for that afternoon and actually come away. So because I did put signs upon my office and people still knock on it, then I just did them in capital letters and then in red capital letters, this door will not be answered. But yeah, so look at the actual physical logistics of where you are.
Brilliant. Thank you, Fiona. Great tips there. Great tips for a problem that I am sure many people have and will continue to encounter. Thank you very much. So we're almost at the end now. Just to tell you a little bit more about some of the other things that we have on offer. So we've spoken a lot about the 5 flagship leadership programs that we have. And this is you'll get all of this information sent out to you today. So keep an eye on your inboxes. Also keep an eye on the website, itss.org. We have lots and lots of information on there, and we use that as a space to update on programs and dates and application processes. I'm sure many of you will be going away and thinking, when can I apply? When are the next programs happening? So yeah, do keep an eye on there. Sign up to the newsletter. Sign up. There's we don't bombard you, but there's always really, really good information coming out. And yeah, thank you again to all of the panel members and to everybody for showing up today and taking part in this webinar. Fabulous things that we've heard from our panel members, and do appreciate how time is very, very precious. So again, a big thank you to Sarah and everybody putting the webinar together. And that's it from me. So I've said thank you a lot because there's lots of thanks, but I hope you have a very, very good day. And yeah, look forward to seeing you on another webinar again soon. Take good care.
Thanks, everyone. We're going to just pop a few polls in the chat to let us know if how we did today, and if you do get a chance to sign up to the newsletter, that would be great. So yeah, have a good rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.